Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual open enrollment fair session. During today's session, we will go over Lincoln benefits for county employees. Before we get started, I would like to brief everyone on a couple housekeeping items. All attendees are muted and will remain muted throughout the presentation. If you have a question, please type it in the Q&A box located on the bottom of your monitor. Be informed that if you type a question in the Q&A box, everyone attending the session will not see your question nor your name. If you have a question that is highly confidential, please contact the Benefits Division directly. Lastly, today's webinar is being recorded. A copy will be posted on the Benefits Open Enrollment website. At this time, I will turn it over to our presenter, Marian Young.
Hello, everybody, and good morning. Thank you so much for joining our call today in this presentation. I am with Lincoln Financial, and I'm here to talk about some of your benefits that are with us, and this includes voluntary short-term disability and voluntary long-term disability. We have been a partner with the County of San Diego now for several years, so this may not be new for some of you, but I just am going to go over and give a great highlight about what to expect for January 2023. So our benefits that we provide to the County of San Diego group is actually divided up a bit depending on two different types of employee classes. So one are for the employees who pay into the California State Disability Plan. So this is with benefits. These are for employees who receive benefits through the state, and that could be a disability or through their paid family leave through the state. And then we also have a program for those employees at County of San Diego who do not participate in the California State Disability Plan. So we're going to be talking about both programs today. The first one I'm going to go through is for those who do participate in the state plan. And we will go through what your short-term disability plan option is, as well as a long-term disability plan option. Then we're going to talk, we're going to shift and talk about the program for employees who do not participate in the California the California State, Disability Plan, and we will go through your three short-term disability plan options, and then also touch on the paid family leave that's included with those. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, we're going to speak first to the program for those employees who participate in the California State Disability Plan. We're going to talk through your STD plan option and then your long-term disability plan option. So first of all, you've got your short-term disability plan. This is to help cover your and provide benefits. It's a weekly cash benefit in the event that you're injured or ill and unable to work. It also includes any disabilities related to a surgery or childbirth. And with this plan, there is a 14-day elimination period. So what that means is for the first 14 days that you're unable to work, this benefit will not be paying out. That's what's called like the waiting period or the elimination period. And during that time, you would be able to use maybe a paid time off or a sick leave to help cover the gap during those first 14 days. And then after that, the benefits will be paid. Again, it's a weekly cash benefit that covers your time while you're out and unable to work due to your disability. So this also includes a family income benefit. There's some rehab assistance. It's a portable benefit. So in the event that you were to leave employment with the County of San Diego, you would be able to take your short-term disability plan with you if that was something that you wanted to do. And the maximum benefit payment would be, or duration, I should say, would be a 24-week benefit duration. So that's the maximum that this will pay. Oftentimes, like if it's a simple let's say a simple pregnancy or surgery, oftentimes those disabilities don't last nearly as long. So it could be where you are only approved for your disability will only keep you out for 6 weeks. The benefit will only pay for 6 weeks. So don't get too excited about getting a full 24 weeks if you're disabled. That's just what you are eligible to get should you need it for up to that amount of time. This is something that, nothing new here, this has been in place for a couple of years. It's available at group rate, and it's a payroll deduction. So it's easy to sign up and have this premium or deductions taken right out of your regular paychecks. And you could use that money for any expenses necessary. So we don't dictate how you spend that money and how you utilize it. You could use it for bills, you can use it for rent or mortgage, groceries, however you want, in order to kind of secure your income during that time when you're unable to work. Here you see where you get a lot more kind of in-depth plan design of the short-term disability. Again, this is for any illness or injury. They must be non-work related. If they are work related, you would go through a workers' comp and not through Lincoln for this. But there is a 14-day elimination period, as I mentioned before. Your benefit, so this is a 25% of your weekly earnings up to $1,000 a week. This is in addition to what you may get from maybe the state through the state disability. So it tops up on top of that. Again, as I mentioned, it's a 24-week maximum duration period. So your benefits will pay for no more than those 24 weeks. And then your premiums that are taken from your paychecks are taken after tax. In the event that this is a benefit that you're going to be enrolling in for the first time, come January 1, 2023, so you're not a current participant, but a future that will be enrolling for your first time, the disability does have a pre-existing condition provision in place. So what this means is that in the event, in the first 12 months that you submit a short-term disability claim, we are going to do what's called the 3-month look back. So if your coverage is effective for the first time, January 1st of 2023, and on March 1st, you submit a claim for, let's say, a surgery, and we may ask you to provide additional medical information prior to January 1. We will look at the 3 months before, so October, November, December, to see if that surgery, if you have received any medical treatment or any kind of a diagnosis prior to that January 1 effective date in those 3 months for the same disability that's related to that surgery. So it has to be related to the surgery, and it has to be 3 months prior. It doesn't have to be a surgery. It could be a pregnancy. It could be an illness, any of those things. But there is what we call a pre-existing condition. So if this is your first time enrolling, that is something to keep in mind. All right, I'm going to pause here before I move on to the long-term disability plan. And I want to just check in to see if there's any questions in the question and answer chat to see about the STD plan options for those employees who are participating in the California State Disability Plan.
Marianne, we did have a question come up regarding the California Sdi Std Plan. Somebody asked, is this money in lieu of SDI benefits? Would we stop receiving short-term disability if we are getting SDI?
That's a great question. So the answer is the money is not in lieu of the California State Disability benefits. So this would be in addition to. So this program was specifically set up for those employees in that plan so that they can receive benefit from both the state and from Lincoln. Great question. Are there any others before I move on?
No, no other questions at this time. Thank you, Marianne.
You betcha. All right. So I'm going to shift gears. We're going to talk about the long-term disability. This again is for those employees who are not enrolled, or excuse me, for those who are eligible for the state disability plan. We're still talking to the same group of employees, and this is your voluntary long-term disability. So similar to your short-term disability, this is in the event of an injury, an illness, a surgery, any of those things where you have a medical condition that is preventing you from being able to work. We have the voluntary LTD in place for you here at Lincoln. This has an 180-day elimination period. So this is typically what is used. Your short-term disability would be utilized first. And then if you are still disabled after that has ended, that's typically when that long-term disability benefit can kick in. So there's 180-day, which is 6 months, being unable to work and sick or injured for over 6 months is when your long-term disability will kick in. Again, this is a voluntary benefit, so that it is paid by the employees through payroll deductions, but you're getting it at a group rate. This is far less than what you would be paying for like an individual plan, but it is also portable, meaning that in the event that you were to leave employment with County of San Diego, you would be able to port this coverage and take it with you at group rate. Another thing to keep in mind, and this is true for both the STD and the LTD, is that there's a waiver premium. So what that means is that once you start receiving benefit payments for this particular coverage, so on the short-term disability, as soon as you start receiving benefit payments under a short-term disability claim, or once you start receiving payments under a long-term disability claim, your premium for those coverages are then waived. So you don't have to pay for an LTD coverage when you are receiving the benefit payments for that. So that's what waiver premium means. I just wanted to make sure that we highlighted that as well. And then here again is some details about what that long-term disability plan looks like. I mentioned it is 180 day, elimination period. And this piece is actually no longer correct. The vacation balances that must be exhausted, that was an older provision, a requirement, and that's actually being removed this year. So that is something just to keep in mind when this is posted. If this is posted and made available, I'll make sure that's corrected. The benefit is actually, it's a monthly benefit. It's 60% of your monthly earnings up to $5,000. And the benefit duration period. So in the event that this is a long-term disability that is not going to necessarily end before it's kind of a permanent disability, then that's something that we would continue to pay those benefits until the age of 65 or your Social Security normal retirement age, depending on, and that differs just based on your age at the time of your disability. Again, premiums are deducted from your paycheck after tax. There is a similar pre-existing condition limitation. This is for any disabilities. If this is your first time enrolling in the Lincoln LTD plan, there is what we call a 6-month look back. So if there is an LTD, if you file an LTD claim within your first 12 months of having the coverage, we will request medical records for the 6 months prior, just to confirm that that disability isn't related to any pre-existing condition. So that's similar to what we or what I mentioned for the short-term disability. There's also a limit on any disability claims that are related to mental and nervous conditions or substance abuse. And then there's no limit on specified illnesses. So that might be those disabilities that are difficult to diagnose. So that might be like fibromyalgia or things like that, where there's really no way to like have a positive test and say, oh, this is what it got. So there's no limit on that. There is a 24-month Onoc definition of disability. So what that means is for your first 24 months while you're out on disability, your and you're unable to work at your regular job, then your benefits will be paid out. But after 24 months of receiving that benefit, your disability then will be defined based on if you're able to work any job. So it may not be, you may not be able to work your current job as it's currently stated, but after 24 months, they look at any job that is reasonable, you know, based on your experience and education and things like that. So that's something that is to keep in mind, that it does shift after 24 months. And then again, as I mentioned, portability, waiver of premium, all of those things are included in your LTD plan as well. So I'm going to stop again here and see, is there any questions specifically around the LTD plan option or the short-term disability? Maybe a question came in late that we spoke about before.
Yes, Marianne, we have 3 questions here. Our first one is, I have a diagnosis of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but I received treatment 4 years ago. I have been buying the STD for the past 3 years. Do I still qualify, or am I wasting my money?
No, that's such a great question. So in the event that there was a disability related to that diagnosis within the first 12 months of coverage, when you first signed on 3 years ago, then there may have been the claim at that time may have been questioned for pre-existing, and we would have maybe done an investigation based on that. But since you've passed that initial 12 months of coverage and you've gotten past that pre-existing conditions period, then that diagnosis will not impact any future claim that you may need to submit related to that diagnosis.
Thank you, Marianne. Next question here we have is, in the event either short-term, long-term disability is used, when we return to work, would the premium increase?
No, premiums are not impacted by usage. So similar to unlike our car insurance, for example, if I get into a car accident, my car insurance company might hike up my premiums. That's not how it works for short-term disability and long-term disability. We have, since it's a group plan, we have what's called a rate guarantee period. So all of the rates, once they're put in place, they're kind of locked in. They may change as you move from one age bracket to another, because some of our rates are age-based. But other than that, those rates are locked in for that rate guarantee period. And then after that, that's usually about 2 to 4 years. And then after that rate period ends, we then go back to the County of San Diego and we renegotiate the rates for the entire group. So rates don't change for an individual based on usage.
Thank you, Marianne. Next question here. Do the number of weeks paid for FMLA, for example, for STD, match the number of disability weeks I paid? Example given, if I purchase 3 weeks of disability leave, am I only eligible for 3 weeks paid family leave?
So this is a good question, but I'm going to just back it up a little bit, because this program specifically that we're talking about right now does not include the paid family leave portion. So that's something for the other group of employees that we're going to talk to in a moment. But for this particular coverage, if you are out on disability for 3 weeks, because that's how long your disability has been approved for, then any FMLA should coordinate. We don't manage your FMLA at Lincoln, but typically that is an unpaid protective leave. I think that question is probably related to the paid family leave that's linked to that short-term disability plan that we're going to be speaking to in a few minutes. Hopefully I'm right about that, but if I'm not, maybe you could reinsert that question into the chat to confirm, or the Q&A to confirm.
Thank you, Marianne. I'll wait for that to come through. And our last question here is, for those unspecified illnesses, example, fibromyalgia or long haul COVID, is there a potential of claim denial?
So that's a really great question. And there's always an opportunity for claim denial. That's always a possibility, but claims are not going to be denied if there is medical documentation supporting the disability and your inability to work. So we're not going to deny a claim based on diagnosis. We're only going to be denying claims if the absence isn't supported, or the inability to work isn't supported based on the medical information we receive. So as long as we have that medical certification and information from your provider, from your doctor, your medical provider, and the information that they send us supports your absence from work and your inability to work, then your claim will not be denied based on that. Claim will be approved based on that. Either way. Hopefully that answered your questions. Those are great questions. Thanks, everybody.
We have no further, yes, we have no further questions. Thank you, Marianne.
Thanks, Crystal. All right. So I don't know if anybody noticed the theme here with the water. I think I put this together right before I went on vacation. So I did go to the coast, was very excited about that. So there's a lot of paddle boarding and beach lines here. So the next group I'm going to be talking to are those employees who do not pay into the California State Disability Plan. So this is due to your employee classification. This is not, that is not an option for you for the California State Disability Plan. And so I'm here today to talk to you about your 3 short-term disability plan options then. All 3 of those do include the paid family leave aspect. This group of employees is also not eligible for the LTD program that I just spoke about. So we're going to talk about only the short-term disability and the paid family leave that is included with that. So similar to as I spoke to you before, your short-term disability is a weekly cash benefit, and it's paid to help pay during your recovery time for an injury, illness, pregnancy, surgery, any of those things. For this program, there's a 7-day elimination period. So that means that if you were to go out on disability today, well, January 1st, let's say you go out on disability, it's 7 days before a benefit payment will be issued. So it's kind of like an elimination period or a waiting period before any payments are made. We do have 3 different plan options for the short-term disability, and we'll go through those in more detail in just a moment, but just wanted to confirm this is a voluntary benefit. It is paid through payroll deductions. It is also available at group rates, so much less expensive than you would be paying if this were an individual plan. You can use your benefit payments for any types of expenses. So that could be childcare, rent, utilities, groceries, all of those things. Your benefits also include portability. So in the event that you were to terminate employment with County of San Diego and you wanted to take this benefit with you, you would have that opportunity. There's also Waiver Premium, which we spoke about before, and a pre-existing condition. So I'm going to go into those in just a bit more detail here. So as I mentioned, these are the 3 STD plan options for the program available to those who do not pay into the California State Disability Plan. So it is, as I mentioned, a 7-day elimination period. Your benefit is 60% of earnings up to $1,540 a week. So however much money you make, your benefit will never be more than that maximum each week while you were out. For your plan elections, you have 3 different options you can choose from. Those maximum benefit durations of 3 weeks, 7 weeks, or 12 weeks. And then each one of those have different premium structures. So just to keep in mind, those are different ones that you can review. Your deductions are post-tax. There is a 3-month look-back period on the pre-existing conditions. So this is one, if you are enrolling for the first time, couple things here. If you're enrolling in this program for the first time, and a claim comes up the first 12 months, you may be asked to provide medical documentation for the 3 months prior to 1/1. And that is to make sure that your disability diagnosis isn't related to any pre-existing condition where you received treatment 3 months prior, either a diagnosis or a treatment 3 months prior to your coverage effective date. So the tricky one with this one is that the pre-existing condition may also apply if you were to change your duration, or if you switched from like the 3-week plan to the 12-week plan, because you're making that shift. Those diagnoses may also be considered pre-existing if something happens within the first 12 months. It's not to say that we would deny the whole claim altogether in that event, but there is a possibility that the case manager, upon review of the medical documentation and all of those things, if they see there was a pre-existing before the January 1 change, they may limit your benefit to what you had prior to January 1. So I know that's a little confusing. If anybody wants me to rehash through that, just please put it in the Q&A and we can discuss it in more detail. Just wanting it to be clear, there is a pre-existing condition limit. And if you're looking to enroll for the first time or upgrade your benefit for the 1/1 enrollment, that may impact any claim that comes in that first 12 months. So we will do a 3-month pre-existing investigation to confirm whether that diagnosis is related. One of the things that is different from this program compared to the short-term disability option that we discussed earlier is that it does include a paid family leave component. And this is a benefit. It is not paid for you while you're out on disability, but it is paid out for you to either bond with a new child or a newborn, and it's also to help care for a family member in the event that they have a medical condition that requires you to provide care for them. And then medical exigency. So if you, military exigency. So if for whatever reason you need to take a time off because you've got a qualified family member who's having a qualified military event that you need to take time off for, that paid family leave would kick in for that as well. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about what that can look like. But before I do, I want to stop here and check in if there were any questions about the 3 STD plans that we just reviewed.
Yes, so we have our first question here. To clarify, on my pay stub, I pay into California OA SDI/EE. Oh, sorry, I think that question, hold on, it disappeared on my end. Just one second.
I think that was actually answered.
Oh, perfect. We have another question here. So if you pay for 7 weeks during 2022 and want to upgrade to 12 weeks, you can't have pre-existing condition. Example, pregnant 3 months prior to January 2023. The claim can be denied if I don't continue with the 7-week plan.
No, thank you for asking that question to clarify my point. So sorry if I wasn't clear before. If you are currently enrolled in the 7-week plan, and you find out, let's say that you're pregnant on November 1st, and then January 1st, you have enrolled into the 12-week plan, and then you deliver in, gosh, I'm going to really do bad math now. So July, because that delivery and disability occurred within the first 12 months of your new 12-week election period, or 12-week duration period, we will see, oh, well, was this pregnancy, did it begin, could there have been a diagnosis or treatment, or is it likely this person was pregnant before January 1? And if the answer is yes, then we would be paying out based on the 7-week plan that you had elected for 2022. So in 2023, if you had made a change and increased your benefit, and you have a disability, we will look at that disability to decide, do you get paid out for the 12, or does it apply for a 12-week duration maximum, or is the 7-week duration maximum going to come into play because of a pre-existing condition? I will stop here and pause because this one's a little misleading. In the event that this were the scenario and a person is going out on a pregnancy, or due to delivery of a newborn and pregnancy, and let's say it's a standard delivery, no complications, that claim is going to be approved for 6 weeks, regardless of whether you have the 7-week plan or the 12-week plan. So just because you're signing up for a longer benefit duration doesn't mean you get that full 12 weeks when you go out on a disability claim if the disability itself doesn't support that amount of time. So we're looking at, was the pregnancy a normal pregnancy? Was the delivery normal? Recovery is expected to be normal, no medical complications. If that's the case, then the typical pregnancy is going to be approved for 6 weeks, regardless of you being enrolled in the 7-week or 12-week duration, because 6 weeks is the maximum we would pay out if there were no complications. Now, this is also true if you signed up for the 3-week plan. So I just wanted to, even though the disability would have been approved for 6 weeks, because if you signed up for the 3-week plan, we're not going to pay out for more than those first 3 weeks. So I know I kind of jumped in with answering an anticipated question, but I just wanted to clarify that because pregnancies can kind of get a little confusing sometimes.
We have a quick little follow-up to that same pregnancy question. So to understand correctly, it's not worth upgrading if I get pregnant in 2022. And then she also asked, what if I get pregnant and downgrade?
Good question. So in this instance, if it's a pregnancy, normal pregnancy, there's really going to be no difference to your benefit and your claim if you stay with the 7-week program compared to a 12-week program, because typically we're only going to approve for 6 weeks anyway. Again, that's barring any complications, things like that. So there's always those circumstances that come into play, but under a 7-week program, the most we're going to pay is 7 weeks, which would cover a normal pregnancy delivery, because that's usually a 6-week recovery time. If you were to downgrade, it doesn't work that way where we're going to let you have the coverage before. It's kind of like any improvements are what we're trying to protect against. So if you were to increase your coverage amount or enroll for the first time, knowing that you're pregnant, it's kind of to help protect the program by having that pre-existing condition restriction in the plan, so that folks don't sign up just because they know they need it and then they're going to drop it when they're done. So it's really to help the integrity of the program and the health of the program itself to have that pre-existing in. So it's only protecting against increases in benefit during open enrollment. Great question. I do go in a little bit later on some other scenarios, talking about the different plan options for these 3 different plan options and what they look like from a maternity perspective or pregnancy perspective. So we can go through that in more detail and then open it back up for questions at the end.
Marianne, I have one more question here. Is Std Pfl available for bonding with newborn if not delivered ourselves, adopting a newborn, or is this typically excluded?
Oh, that is such a great question. I love this. So paid family leave. So in the event of adoption, paid family leave is definitely available. So that bonding time, you are eligible for that. There is no pre-existing condition. So let's say you're going through the process of adopting now, and you are aware of that, and then adoption is finalized or comes through in early 2023, there's no pre-existing for the paid family leave portion. So the bonding time is something that's available because it's not a birth-giving parent. There is no disability associated with it, but the Pfl definitely comes into play. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So this is the Pfl plan, and this was introduced last year for the first time. So this is our second year with the Pfl, paid family leave. Again, for those employees who are not contributing into the California state plan, and this is, you have to be enrolled in one of these three, the 3, 7, or 12-week plan in order to receive the paid family leave. So it's not available to you on a standalone basis. You have to be enrolled in one of these disability plans in order to receive and be eligible for the paid family leave. One thing to note is that paid family leave is not a disability benefit. So it is available to you, and it's a paid benefit for you to take care of a family member, for bonding with a new child or a newborn. And so those are, it's not paid out for folks who are unable to work due to their own medical condition. So it gets a little confusing for some of those who are especially having a pregnancy claim, because there's the disability portion of your claim, and then once your disability ends, there's the bonding portion. So if you are enrolling in, or if you, let's say you have this plan now, let's take out pre-existing altogether. If you are enrolled in this plan now and you intend to continue that, you would be, and you were to have a child, deliver a child and a newborn in 2023, your disability benefits would be paid for either the maximum duration or up to 6 weeks, depending on the type of delivery. So it's the lesser of those two numbers. And then after that ends, you would be able to do the paid family leave for bonding with that new child. So paid family leave, covered conditions, care of a seriously ill family member. Family members are listed here on the right. So that could be a child, a parent, parent-in-law, grandparent, a sibling, a spouse, or a domestic partner. So those are what we consider, or what are considered family members in accordance with the paid family leave. And it also pays for bonding, like I mentioned, with a newborn child or a minor adopted or foster child. So if you are adopting someone and they're over the age of 18, this benefit would not be available. But if it's let's say you're adopting a 10-year-old, you would be able to, or fostering a 10-year-old, you would be able to take a paid family leave under this program. And then, as I mentioned, the military exigency. So this is for in the event a family member is called into active duty or has other requirements related to their service that would require time from you to take the paid family leave. So there are certain circumstances where that would be available for you as well. Okay. So just to keep in mind, for paid family leave, the benefits will begin on your first day of leave. So there's no elimination period for your paid family leave. And regardless of which short-term disability plan you enroll in, you will be eligible for 8 weeks of paid family leave. And it could be taken all at once, or it could be taken in intermittent time-frames. So regardless of what you do, you'll never get paid. So even if you kind of combine some of this with other paid leaves or paid time off, you would never be able to receive more than 100% of your regular earnings. Your benefit duration could be up to 8 weeks, and this is up to 8 weeks, excuse me, that could be taken all at once or intermittently. And again, there's no elimination period. So you would be able to take that on your first, you would start being eligible for benefit payments as of your first day. If you wanted to know how much your paid family leave would pay, because we talked about maximums, and it is a benefit that is based on your earnings, and we would follow the state's, the California EDD's calculations for that. So we did include a link here to go to their Pfl Calculator to estimate how much benefit you would actually receive based on your salary. The maximum is $1,540 per week, but it is possible that if you wanted to get a closer number to what that looks like, you could just go to the calculator itself and it will help you determine what that is. So a couple of things to keep in mind. This is shifting over kind of to like what the process is for you. If you don't have to file with the state for any of these benefits, you don't have to file, you know, an Std claim separate from your Pfl claim. When you go and call Lincoln to report or initiate your claim and your leave, you could just do it all at once. It's one phone call that you can make. You will talk to kind of one of our intake people, and they might have some questions for you, get some initial data, and then have a case manager assigned. That case manager will handle then and reach out to you and will handle both your disability and or your paid family leave. So if you don't have to call multiple times. If you're trying to file for both, it could just be one phone call. You're going to just deal with one case manager. Let's say you're going out for a pregnancy and you're like, hey, case manager, I'm going out on my pregnancy. I'm going to take I'm going to be out. I'm enrolled in the 7-week, let's say the 12-week. I'm enrolled in the 12-week plan. So I'm going to take my 6 weeks off for my disability. And then once that ends, I'm going to go straight into my paid family leave for the full 8 weeks. So you can let your case manager know that up front, and he or she will get that all set up for you. If there's any change of plans, you could always reach back out to your case manager, let her know that there needs to be some adjustments to your game plan and when you plan on returning to work, all of those things. So communication's key, as always, and as it is in all of life. So just make sure your case manager is aware if there's any plan changes and like kind of what you're going to be doing, anything like that. It's the same number you call if you need to take time off to take care of a parent, or let's say your child is, having a serious illness and you need to take time to care for that child. It's the same number that you call. You're going to call Lincoln. You're going to let them know, hey, you need time off. This is what you need it for. They're going to assign a case manager, and that case manager is going to walk you through the process and let you know kind of what you're eligible for and how to make sure everything's in place so that you receive your benefit during that time. One thing to keep in mind, and it's listed here at the bottom left, is that the qualifying event. So if you are enrolling in this plan for the first time for one of these 3 Std plan options for the first time for January 1, 2023, one thing you need to keep in mind is the qualifying event. So whether that's the delivery of a child or the diagnosis of for a family member, that qualifying event needs to occur after your effective date of coverage. So if this is a new, if you are enrolling in this for the first time in one of these 3 Std plans, and January 1st is going to be your first day of coverage for this, it will not cover any qualifying events from before 1/1. So that's something to keep in mind. If you are already enrolled in this program, and even if you make a change to one of those 3 Std plan options, your coverage is going to continue whether the qualifying event happened, in 2022 or in 2023. So that won't apply for you. But I just want folks to be aware that there is a required qualifying event if you're new to the coverage. Okay. So this is an example. So if this is assuming this is not maternity related, this is not about related to any kind of a disability moving over to a paid family leave. So this is, again, caring for a family member. Is this example, you get 8 weeks available to you within 12 months for multiple qualifying events. So if you have, you get 8 weeks per year, essentially, available to you for paid family leave. Again, you could take it as one continuous or intermittently in 1-day increments. Here's an example for maternity and bonding claims. So during the maternity leave, again, once your disability claim ends, and that could be after 3 weeks or 6 weeks. So 3 weeks if you signed up for the 3-week plan, 6 weeks if you're in the 7 or 12-week plan. Then once that claim ends, your disability ends, then you can go into the bonding, and you can do that intermittently or continuously. So that's up to you, and you get up to 8 weeks to take within that first 12 months. So not to beat a dead horse, but I'm going to go for it. We have examples of a maternity claim, and this is dependent on if you're signed up for the 3-week, 7-week, or 12-week plan. So for a 3-week plan, the maximum you're going to get paid is 3 weeks. After that, your benefits end, and then your PFL can kick in. For a 7-week plan, even though you signed up for 7 weeks, the benefit's only going to pay up to, it's a 6-week benefit, because our standard is typical pregnancies from your delivery date to your recovery time from delivery date is 6 weeks for a normal delivery without complications. So if you're enrolled in the 7-week plan, you would get that 6 weeks of disability, and then your 8-week paid family leave would be available to you after that. If you're signed up for the 12-week plan, again, you would only get those benefits for those 6 weeks, and then your benefits for your paid family leave can begin. One thing to keep in mind is that I've been speaking about 6 weeks for normal delivery, but in the event it's a C-section, those claims are the recovery for those are typically 8 weeks. And so if you were on the 12-week plan and you had a C-section, you would have coverage for that entire 8-week recovery period. Whereas on the 7-week plan, you would only have it for 7 weeks because you have a 7-week duration maximum. And then even if you're signed up for the 3-week plan, but you deliver via C-section, you would only have 3 weeks of benefits before your PFL can kick in. I know that was a lot, but I wanted to really make that clear, and we can come back to this at the end if we need to. And with that, I want to just check in and see, do we have any questions about the PFL? And I'm sure we do.
Yes, let me start with our first question here. If I request PFL to care for ill mother and I pay into 7 weeks, do I have to use my sick leave and vacation before PFL kicks in?
You do not.
Next question, I am due in January, so I can get this benefit as well. I'm already enrolled in 3-week STD program.
Yes, so if you're already enrolled in the STD program, you would be eligible for the PFL when you deliver.
Thank you, Marianne. Next question here. I have a question in general for both types of insurances. Let's say, for example, I need to take 4 weeks out due to an unexpected medical event. If I had the accrued PTO in order to cover that time, would I be forced to use the PTO before I can file a claim and use the insurance, or is that left to our discretion?
You do not need to use PTO in order to receive your STD coverage. So that's not a requirement. If you choose to use some of those options during the elimination period, you're able to do that.
Thank you. Next question here. My parent was recently diagnosed with dementia, Alzheimer's, but lives overseas. Would she be eligible for me to go to a foreign country and take care of her for at least a couple of weeks? And will a diagnosis from a foreign medical office suffice to show proof?
So there's a couple of questions there. First, I'll answer the easy one. The medical information from a foreign medical office would, as long as it supports that, it's clear this is for a parent, we're able to establish the parent relationship, then yeah, we should be able to do that. So one thing that is a little bit questionable to me in this scenario, and I'm not a claims examiner, so this is not necessarily that you may want to submit this claim and have it be discussed in more detail with the claims examiner just to kind of confirm. My question would be around the diagnosis date. So if the diagnosis for the dementia or Alzheimer's for mom occurred prior to your cover, or for the parent, excuse me, was prior to the coverage effective date, then it's possible that this type of this specific care would not be covered under the PFL. However, if there was a sudden turn in health and it does now need you to be there, there's some kind of something happened, maybe it could be related to that initial diagnosis, but maybe things worsened to an extent where now the parent needs 24-hour supervision and care, then yes, that would qualify at that time. So it's really that qualifying event timing is the only thing that I would be questioning. The fact that it's overseas, the fact that it's a foreign medical provider, those will not be an issue.
Thank you so much. Next question was a follow-up. If I use PFL for mother in 2022 and have another qualifying event like pregnancy or adoption in 2023, does the PFL clock start anew in 2023?
It does.
Thank you. Next question here. For the STD 7-day elimination period, can I use personal leave or do I need to be out of pay status?
Can you use personal? I believe you could use personal leave. You may want to take that back to your HR department. Is my understanding you can use personal leave during that. I don't know that you would need to use personal leave, but if you were trying to receive payment for that time, looks like Kim is possibly responding here. I don't have an answer to that. I'm sorry.
Next question here. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think there are options for employees to receive some type of, paid time off or receive some type of paid time during that 7-day elimination period. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I don't know the inner workings of how that needs to be set up.
Next question. So we never get 12 weeks of STD, even if we sign up for 12 weeks, only 7 or 8 weeks?
Oh, so no, you definitely can get up to 12 weeks on STD if you are out for a claim that supports that. So I am talking 6 and 8 weeks related to a pregnancy, without complications. So even if it's a standard delivery, but it's C-section or a vaginal delivery, those are the 6-8 weeks, assuming there's no other complications related to the recovery. But let's say it's for a back surgery and that back surgery is going to take 3 months for recovery. You could easily get that benefit for those 12 weeks if you're out for a claim that supports that duration.
Thank you. Next question. I've been enrolled in Std Plan for years. I'm currently home caring for my mother to recover from surgery where the doctor has requested someone is home with her to help her I misread that, to help care for her as she is unable to completely care for herself. Is this something that would qualify? Do I have to go without pay at work?
So this could qualify. And if you are taking time off right now and you are currently a participant in the short-term disability plan that I've discussed, those 3 options that are for those who are not paying into the California state plan, then this could be a qualifying event where you may want to go ahead and open a claim with Lincoln to let them know that you're unable to work and to care for this parent, to care for a parent who's recovering. So whether you are, so I'm unclear about the question, the part about being out of work. So ideally, if you're able to work from home and you're caring for a parent at the same time, that wouldn't necessarily, we wouldn't pay paid family leave on top of that. It's, but it could subsidize it, and it's possible that you are, unable to work a couple of days a week and able to work certain other days a week, and that intermittent comes into play, or 1 week on, 1 week off, and that intermittent time comes into play. That could be a time when you would want to go ahead, you would still be able to use your PFL benefit. I recommend, if you are definitely enrolled in one of those 3 plan options, the 3, 7, or 12 weeks, go ahead and file a claim and talk to a case manager, and they will provide guidance around whether your current situation is a qualifying one for your paid family leave.
Thank you, Marianne. Next question here. Currently enrolled in a plan and have had a sick parent since 2020. I have not used any PFL, but maybe in the future. Do we need to certify or complete documentation in case a PFL leave was to take place in the future?
So I would wait until you have some kind of, since this has been a kind of a long-term maybe diagnosis in play, if there's a, say, some aggressive treatment that the sick parent is going to be trying out for the first time, or a surgery, or any of those things where there's kind of a shift in the level of care that this parent's going to need, since it has been kind of more long-term. In any of those scenarios, I would go ahead and submit a PFL claim. So we would need the documentation indicating, like, hey, this parent has been sick for some time, but now they're going in for a surgery, or now they're trying a new medication or a new treatment, and it's going to require additional level of care for this, during this time. All of those would be a qualifying event where I would recommend go ahead and submitting the PFL claim, and then seeing what talking the details out with your case manager, and making sure you get the medical documentation in order to support that, and making sure you get that benefit.
Thank you. And our last question here, if a couple both work for the county under non-SDI pay and are expecting a child to be born in 2023, can the non-birthing parent pay to the PFL plan beginning in 2023 to receive coverage? I realize the birthing parent must pay to the Std Pfl at the time of pregnancy to qualify for PFL for bonding, but does this also apply to the non-birthing parent?
I'm a little confused by this question, but I think I understand it. So just to keep in mind, PFL, there is no pre-existing condition for this. So if you're expecting in 2023, and you know that now, you're the non-birthing parent and you want to be eligible for bonding time in 2023, go ahead and enroll for this, for one of those benefits, the short-term disability plans now, so that in 2023, you would be able to qualify for paid PFL as a non-birthing parent. If the birthing parent is already enrolled in the short-term disability coverage, that birthing parent would be eligible for both the short-term disability and the paid family leave. Hopefully that answered the question. I know we're short on time. Hopefully we answered everything. My last slide was really just to open it up for general questions, but I think we tackled most of these. Just really hoping that this was helpful presentation for you today and informative. It's time to enroll. So go ahead and make your enrollment elections now. This is a really wonderful benefit. I'm glad that we were able to enhance it with the paid family leave this last year. I think that it's been really well received and well utilized. I'm hearing good things from your other colleagues who may be using it. And so I just want to, encourage everybody to enroll. Are there any other questions that we want to tackle? Oh, I do see a question. I'm going to just go back one slide. I do see a question about pre-existing for Pfml. So Pfl, as you recall, is for caring for a family member or for bonding. There's no pre-existing condition required for that. Short-term disability is for your own medical condition, and there may be a pre-existing condition. There is a pre-existing condition limit on the short-term disability. So that's different than enrolling. You have to enroll in the short-term disability plan in order to be eligible for the Pfl. So you can't just enroll in Pfl standalone. You have to enroll in the short-term disability as it's part of the Pfl plan is a part of that disability plan. It looks like my contact information, I believe, is made available once the recording is posted. So any questions can be directed to the contact information that's provided.
We have one more here. Just to confirm, you do not offer LTD for those in classifications that do not pay into SDI?
So those LTD programs are not offered by Lincoln. It's my understanding that there are LTD benefits available to you. It's just not through my organization. I think I misread my calendar. I think I have 2 hours. So I'm able to answer more questions if you all have any. Well, again, I just want to thank everybody for your time, your great questions. Oh, I'm seeing some more coming in. So I do see questions about the pricing. The pricing range, so the Pfl is not a standalone product. You would need to look at the pricing for the short-term disability, and that will include the Pfl plan in with that. So hopefully you have access to that and can go through and see how much it would cost to add the short-term disability and Pfl to your benefit plan or program for next year.
Next question here. When does the 12-month period start for any Pfl? Is it from calendar year?
Yes, it's per calendar year. Awesome. Man, I should have had some knock-knock jokes prepared. I only have one, I think, but it's not very good. Oh, okay. Again, thank you everybody for participated. I hope you found this helpful and informative. I appreciate all of the engagement and questions. You had some good ones coming in. If there are any items that we want to go through, I'm going to be staying on the line a bit longer. Oh, I see another question came in. I'm not sure I understand this question. So if you have more than one qualifying event, you have 8 weeks that you can take total within the calendar year for your paid family leave, regardless of which of the 3 STD plans you elect.
It looks like there is clarification here. Caring for a mother in pregnancy, max you get 7 weeks plus PFL.
So for the disability piece, on the pregnancy part, you would get paid for the disability. And then for bonding and any other family care, there's a maximum 8 weeks per calendar year. So your PFL benefit pays for 8 weeks per year, regardless of one event or 3. Hopefully that helps.
Marianne, I don't see any additional questions coming through the Q&A box. Believe we can resume the session.
Sure. That works just fine for me.
Okay.
Thank you for helping coordinate and putting this all together. This is such a fun team to work with. If there are any questions that come up that I can help with, please let me know.
It's been my absolute pleasure, and thank you. So everyone, this concludes the webinar. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great day.